Happy Tuesday. Welcome in to the Lindsey Beckham Show. We're live here in the WYAB studios. We are also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Also, you can find the online version streaming worldwide of all of our WYAB shows at WYAB.com. And you can tune in. You can share your thoughts about this topic we're going to dive into today. You can call the station 601-879-0002. Of course, this headline, this huge headline that has been making waves not only across the state, but across the entire country. We're going to break all of that down. And who better to help me do that when we are having a conversation about race than our own resident favorite racist Clay Edwards himself. I'm kidding. I'm being facetious, of course. Hey, Clay. See, I'm not hearing you for some reason.
It's my fault.
Check. There you go. There you are. So I know you talked, and we'll just dive right in because why not? I know you kind of talked about this a little bit on your show this morning, but this situation over the 4th of July, the holiday weekend in Horn Island, Ocean Springs area has just kind of taken social media by storm. And yet Mississippi is here with another case where it's got to be the white boy's fault that the black boy is not with us any longer. What do you say to that, Clay?
It's just a knee-jerk reaction that, you said it. And I've spoken I spoke at nauseum about it over the last 24 hours. So I'm just going to jump straight to what I feel like the natural conclusion of this is. Black people are going to keep doing this. And inevitably, they love to talk about the tough conversation they have to have with their children about law enforcement and getting pulled over. I believe that if they continue to try to ruin white people's lives when bad stuff happens to black people in their presence, whether it's their fault or not, that inevitably white parents are going to have to start having a really tough conversation with their kids about having black friends, and nothing to do with the black friend directly, but to do with the culture and the reaction if something is to happen to the kid while the white kids are around, such as this. They out there boating, having a good time. They clearly look like good friends in the photos I saw. Nothing looks fake about that at all. Nothing looks facetious. They don't look like it was some kind of racist Klan mastermind to trick this black kid out to Horn Island to murder him and leave him out there to create some murder mystery or nothing of the sort. Then they tried to plant the girlfriend. Oh, well, look at here. He had a white girlfriend. This says it all because no white guy can stand to see a white girl with a black guy. That is, if there was ever a justification for homicide, that's it right there. And it's like they'll love to plant all these little motives and stuff whenever they actually lack physical or real evidence. I've talked to people down there. I've got some friends pretty high up in law enforcement. It's one of the perks of being pro law enforcement is people trust me with information and they see me talk about these things. They'll reach out and they're like, man, it ain't much more than a sad situation where the kid drowned, and they're not going on record with it yet, but look to find out that it's something along the lines of he drowned or alcohol poisoning potentially and kind of getting baked in the sun and a few other odd and end things. But I think it's going to come back to he drowned. Even though they found him on the island, look, currents come and go, tides come and go. He can get washed away, washed back up. Could be laying on the beach and just gargle a little bit of water. He could have drowned on alcohol, passed out. He could have thrown up in his mouth, passed out, and choked. Lots of different things can happen. I'm not saying any of those are exactly what happened. I'm just saying, and I'm not even saying my source told me that. I'm just saying lots of things can happen. Give it time to breathe. Let's see what happened. And then there'll be plenty of blame to go around if it was a homicide, not a accidental death. They have no reason or upside to protect these kids, especially with one of the kids being a parent. I think the parent is a judge. I haven't dug completely into it. I'm just going by what I've seen on the internet as well. There's a parent that's a judge. If they didn't do nothing, why are they lawering up? Why are they lawering up if they didn't do nothing?
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they lawyer up when they look at the comments that are being made across the country right now? Why would they?
Y'all are accusing them of murder.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they? Of course,
Yeah.
they're going to do that because of the god awful things that are being said about these kids. And again, we don't even have an
And their
autopsy.
parents and
Yeah,
their siblings. They're already trying to get them fired from their jobs, get their parents fired from their jobs. I mean, they're already doing what the culture does. And when I say the culture, if you don't realize by now, I'm not talking about all black people. I'm talking about a subset of black culture, the black for a livings, the ghetto culture, the people that I have the fatigue from. It's not, it ain't even the majority of black people. It's just this very loud ghetto culture of victimization and hood ratness and refusal of accountability and all that I'm speaking of. Because there are plenty of God-fearing, good black folks out there that don't partake in this crap. And I hate when they get it confused or feel lumped in, because I just can't put an asterisk on this every time I do it.
you know the phrase, the expression I've seen over and over the last couple of days that I truly despise. I can't stand to see it. It makes me angry. Is they have to have their token black friend with them. Now, I think that comment in and of itself is racist as hell. If I am with my black friend and you want to attempt to call her a token, and that's the only reason that I would be associating with her, who's the racist here?
They are. They're the ones that are even pointing out that somebody's different.
Exactly. Exactly. And, Angela Buckner and I had this conversation of the Mike magazine. We talked about race and our different views and opinions about that last week. And, one thing I told her, and I think this speaks to your point about the black boy having a white girlfriend, do you know where I have seen racism when it comes to having a biracial daughter myself? Is
From
from the
blacks.
black community. They have gone so far, some of them, as to say, "Oh, you went out and got pregnant with a black baby just so." Get some feedback there. Just so you could say you're not a racist. You went out and have had a little chocolate baby just so you could claim you're not racist. Are you kidding me?
So you can say the N-word. Like this, it's a pass. Having a black baby is a pass to be able to say the N-word. You went out and did that so you'd have street cred. I know they're crazy, man. They're crazy. Anyway, but you know what? You never. Well, I ain't gonna say it.
Complete insanity.
It only goes one way. It only goes one way. One group of people aren't nearly as desirable as the other, and it's just because of the attitudes and just the angriness, and just like nobody wants to be around that. There's a reason why black men seek out white women, and white men don't go seeking out black women. Nobody wants to put up with all that anger and bitterness and just the craziness.
But if
That we seem to see out there, because it's overwhelmingly black women in my DMs and gay men, sending gay black men sending me all these crazy death threats and stuff over this, all because I simply said, keep in mind, this post has got over 5 million views at this point, the original post. Then the other ones, subsequent other millions more views. Lindsey, all I did was say, let's pump the brakes a little here and see what happens. Let's not go straight to this was a Klan killing. And I suggested, I said, and I did say the part that I just said about, the inevitable end result of this is going to be white parents telling their kids, you know what? It's nothing against little Johnny, little Timmy, little whatever his name is, the black kid. But if something was to happen to him while y'all are together, it could ruin our lives, because the culture, these crazy people on the internet are going to come after our jobs and your freedom and everything. It's just like, I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze. And I say this as a guy, and I said it this morning on my show. My best friend growing up, and I don't want to say his name on here, but we called him V. Everybody don't know who I'm talking about. We called him V. I still consider him a brother. I still consider his mom and dad a second mom and dad. Do we agree politically? Hell no. But I still consider him family, and I'd go to the family reunion if I got invited today. And my daughter, her best friend, black girl, and we've never looked at her any different. My parents never looked at him any different. His parents never looked at me any different. And I'm definitely not talking about like these relationships when I'm speaking on this. But what I am saying is, if something were to happen to my daughter's friend while my daughter was around. Do you think that, especially when they found out
You're
that
the dad.
my daughter, do you think that they would go straight to Clay orchestrated this and his daughter's a Klansman? And if something happened to my friend in my presence, their families wouldn't say none of this stuff. They're not who I'm talking about. It's the crazy people on the internet that are jumping straight to conclusions. They just sit there and say, hey, man, do I really, is the ROI? The ROI is always worth it for me because I'm going to make my own I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm going to make my own. Nobody's going to stop me from doing anything I want to do. There's people who would have told me a long time ago not to do what I'm doing now, that the culture ain't going to like it. But I'm just saying, everybody ain't built like this. A lot of people they're going to say, got too much to lose. It just ain't worth it. I'm not going to hang out with them. And they are self-segregating themselves because they don't want to have to put up with the potential fallout if something were to happen.
And I don't think there would be this much fallout. There would not be this much attention. Had this picture been of 4 white boys, had this picture been of 4 black boys, had this
We
picture
would
been
even
of
know about it.
no, we never even would have heard about it. Even if this picture had been of 3 black boys and 1 white boy, and the white
If
boy
the roles were reversed, if the white boy was the one disappeared, and could you imagine the fallout if the white boy was the one disappeared and the 4 black boys or 3 black boys are the ones that left him or whatever, just reverse the races in the scenario.
we wouldn't be seeing this.
We wouldn't be seeing this. And if anybody white did pipe up and start suggesting some kind of racism, we would immediately be canceled. How dare you suggest that black boys would do that to anybody? How dare you? In full Greta Thunberg voice. How dare you?
I feel for these kids too, because like you said, you can tell that they're friends. And so they're mourning the loss of their friend here and having to deal with all of this nonsense when there's no evidence to anything. And I can't imagine not only how sad they must be, but scared. And
It's a double-edged sword. And people are, why ain't they come out and said nothing? Because you have the right to remain silent, and this is a dang good time to do it.
because you're trying to hang them in the court of public opinion right now. Why would they say anything? It doesn't matter what they say right now. There's going to be some response from that community to whatever it is that they have to say. They did something wrong. They're to blame somehow, some way.
And everything floating on the internet right now. Well, I had heard from my friend that said this. Then why did they do this? Why y'all are connecting a lot of dots that don't connect? And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of the crazy stuff that came out during the Polo trial. And it's just crazy, wild scenarios that have nothing to do with each other, but it's just this distract, deflect. Yeah, but you're saying that this could have happened, or why did they do this? Is it because, it reminds me of like the people trying to blame the Charlie Kirk killing on Israel jets and planes and exploding microphones. And it's like, bro, the guy was trying to get some ass, excuse my language. And he told his friends to leave. He was hung up on a girl. May or may not have been his girlfriend. I'm not sure. And
that's another.
And there's no phone service out there. He had to let the phone on the boat intentionally, from what I was told. Let me say allegedly. Allegedly, he intentionally left it and told his friends to leave because he was trying to hang out with this chick. He was going to ride back with them. Tell me you've never been to Flag Island without telling me you've never been to Flag Island if you ain't showed up on one boat and left on another because you were trying to holler at somebody.
That's what I was just
or your ride was ready to leave before you, and the other people are going back to the same place. Hey, can I just hitch a ride with y'all?
I've seen so much hate about that, about how dare they leave without him? You leave with who you came. How many times as teenagers did we leave with different people than we showed up at a party with?
More times than not.
That's just the nature of the beast when you're partying and you're a teenager. Yeah. And they were obviously partying. I'm just it's mind-boggling. The things
it has to fit the narrative, and if it doesn't fit the narrative, how dare you question what we said? Clay, we told you it was racism. He didn't die of blunt force trauma. He didn't die of drowning. He didn't die of a drug overdose. He died of racism. Racism is a form of murder. You don't know that already? If we told you that's what it was, you don't question it. And that's what they're mad about.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Certainly seems that way. All right, we got to take a break. Y'all stay with us because we're going to continue to break this topic down, and you don't want to miss it. 103.9 WYAB, The Lindsey Beckham Show. We'll be right back.
Come here. Come here. So,
Welcome back into the Lindsey Beckham Show, live here in the WYAB studios. We are also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We are also joined by Clay Edwards, of course. Y'all all know him. Clay, you know what I was thinking about is when they decide, or when the information comes out that these friends had nothing to do with his death, when will we see the apologies from the people who have made all of these comments?
when hell freezes over.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm trying to get I don't know how
You have to, anytime there's a restring's messed up, you just have to, the chat box is not going to get the size you want it. You just got to hit that overlay thing that I told you about.
Yeah, and I don't see it anymore. It disappeared.
You have to like go to chat settings.
Let's see.
We'll just take the chat off.
I just had it. Okay, maybe you can try it again.
Then when it comes up, there should be a little toggle at the top.
Yeah.
It says overlay.
I don't know. It just disappeared. Anyway, I'm just saying we'll never get an apology from these people who have made these accusations, these baseless accusations for that matter.
No, like I said, hell will freeze over. They're never going to apologize because that would be an admission that they were wrong. They've yet to apologize for Carmelo Anthony. They've yet to apologize for Kyle Rittenhouse. I mean, heck, Lindsey, we're talking about the same people who still think Kyle Rittenhouse killed black people because they were at a Black Lives Matter rally. They don't know any other thing except he took a gun across state lines. He crossed state lines. Well, y'all are the same people who don't even believe we should have borders. You're suddenly worried about state lines, sovereignty of states. I mean, shut up. These people, they're insufferable. You don't even try to agree with them. Don't try to debate with them. Don't try to argue with them. I've gotten 5 messages since we started calling me a racist POS. You know, I mean, okay. And I mean, so one person texted me earlier, all because this accusing me of supporting Dylan Roof and the Confederacy. I was like, first off, not that anybody cares, but I championed changing the flag, and that aggravates a lot of my followers.
Yeah.
But I don't back down from that because multiple things can be right at the same time.
Absolutely, they can. And not only that, but the conversation that starts about, oh, it's Mississippi, and that's just how Mississippi is. That really gets under my skin to no end because I don't see that. And I know you've said that a million times too. I've never met a Klansman. I don't see racism in my day-to-day life. And that's what I was telling Angela when she was in the studio and we're talking about this issue, about the race issue. That's just not something that I see daily. So I don't understand where all this racism is. I don't understand where my white supremacy is either.
or my privilege
Right.
or any of these things. I have the same privileges y'all do. I get to pay my bills every month. I paid my energy bill yesterday, 2 weeks early, and a new one came in the mail the next day. That's my privilege speaking there, isn't it? I'm
Exactly.
just feel fed up, and you can't try to have a conversation with these people. That's why people are always like, why don't you let me come on your show? Well, who are you? Why would I let you come on my show and hoot and holler? I've tried that. I've tried to quasi negotiate with the terrorist. And the second you start proving them wrong, it just shows that nobody backs baby in a corner, and they start screaming and cussing and getting all filthy, talking about sexual stuff and S this and do that. And, I don't have the time for it. I'm not going to change your mind. You're never going to change my mind. I'm right. You're wrong. History has proven that multiple times over and over. Call me a racist. I just don't care. I mean, the people I do business with don't want the kind of people who do that as clients for the most part. So there's just, we're entering what we call parallel economies here, where everybody likes to sit there and say, oh yeah, don't you want money from everybody? Not really. Not if I had to put up with this to do it. And most people are coming to that same conclusion, and people are crafting their own business models and economies and networks and everything. Well, they really don't have to deal with those people or us or whomever it is they don't want to break bread with. I mean, I'm going to tell you, diversity, it ain't our strength. Jesus is our strength, not diversity. Diversity is actually going to be our downfall. And I don't mean that from a black-white perspective. I know that's what everybody's going to hear, but it just is. I said it this morning. I'll say it again. Or I said it yesterday, whenever. I've been live so much lately. I don't remember when I said what. It's on record. So let me just say it one more time. We were never intended to be this diverse. We were never intended to be a melting pot. We were never intended to be in a room with people from completely different cultures discussing extremely polarizing social topics such as this. And by the room, I mean social media or the chat box under the topic. You know what I mean? We were never intended to be doing that. Of course, we're going to not agree on these things. Of course, at the end of the day, we're going to be tribal because at the end of the day, we're all tribal. We're all animals. We're all, going to have our thoughts and feelings and emotions and all of that. But you know what? You and I, Lindsay, we're part of the only group that, we're not allowed to have any ethnic pride without being shouted down, canceled, burned at the cross for having dare having the least little bit of ethnic pride. Well, you know what, Lindsay? I am a proud colonizer, and I look to do a little more colonizing as we hopefully make Canada the 51st state. I plan on colonizing Canada. I'm putting it out there. Maybe Mexico. I don't know. I'm going to do some colonizing. I might recolonize Jackson. Hell, I don't know. We'll find out. But we're going to do some I'm a proud colonizer. My bloodline tracks back all the way to the Mayflower.
Does it?
Yep. Not my last name, but my bloodline.
That's pretty cool. Proud
colonizer.
One thing I think about when we see all of this hate and backlash is, what kind of danger are you putting these boys in? What kind of danger is this cop in Senatobia in? I mean, can they even live a normal life at this point? When the Southern Poverty Law Center has called us all the names they've called us, they put a target on our backs as moms. It's not a joke. This is real. There are evil people out there.
Yeah, there are satanic evil forces. Kim Wade talks about it a lot. There's a dark, evil, satanic cloud spirit over Jackson and other cities similar to it. And not just that, but it's over the culture. Jason Whitlock had a great black pastor on his show last week, and I've talked about it a couple times on my show. I can't remember his name, but Lindsay, he talked about generational curses being put over some cultures, some races of people, people who buy into all that have been cursed. And, he spoke about how it's no coincidence that I'll let people imagination run wild here. how there's a certain group of people where every young man in a certain age group that lives a certain lifestyle looks identical. And they all look like little voodoo witch doctors. Every one of them. Little skinny, frail. They all, imagine Lil Wayne wearing a bunch of bones. Little voodoo witch doctors, every one of them look the identical. That's not a social trend. That there's something to that. There's a curse that has been put over a subset of the community. And I don't know how they get out from under it. It seems to be getting worse. And this is all coming from religious stuff. He read it from the Bible. And who is Clay Edwards to argue with the Bible?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Jackson and this the demise, how quickly that has happened.
Less than 30 years.
And it's so sad, but you're right, there's gotta be something to it. It's almost like a dark cloud of some sort of evil hovering over the city with so much death and destruction.
I mean, I used to think all this was crazy talk. Like, what are y'all talking about? I mean, Lindsay, I'll be honest, I was never a big believer in the Old Testament. The New Testament, more so, because it's more, easier. It's easier to stomach than believing in than great floods and arcs and just some of the other what we call miracle type stuff
Mhm.
that you don't see anymore. But as I've gotten older, it's the only thing it's the only way you can explain some of this stuff. Because I'm a true believer, no doubt about it. I mean, I have some things I kind of quasi question, like, okay, well, you know what? If God said it, I'm gonna roll with it. And there's no way that, like, we have to be living in the last days, a Sodom and Gomorrah type stuff going on, and God is punishing these communities that are doing that are living that lifestyle, that are glorifying that culture. And I hate to keep going back to the word culture, but black people, y'all don't own the word. You don't have a trademark on the word culture. We're allowed to use it. We have culture too. In fact, we did not steal your culture as you consistently claim we stole everything. No, we didn't. We're allowed to call out the culture rot. We call it out in our community, and that's a big misnomer. Lindsay, is something I'm really kind of tired of hearing from these folks who are allergic to accountability. The minute you try to talk to them about it, yeah, but what about what about the school shooters? What about the pedos? What about that? Hey,
Yeah, they have their own culture. It's called trans. It's a
yeah,
lie that they've
yeah,
been told.
we 100% are against them. But you know what? They all vote the same way you do. Y'all are all under the big political tent. You support that more than I do.
Right.
Not you, them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all support the school shootings. Y'all support the trans stuff. Y'all support all that. Not my people. What about the Epstein files? Why Trump about the Epstein files? If you believe the stuff about Trump in the Epstein files, I have some oceanfront property for you. If any of that was remotely true, or not even true, but they thought that they could make the lie stick, Trump would still be locked in a jail, and we would never see him again. If not, probably be the first person given the electric chair for accusations of pedophilia and human trafficking. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They would have sacrificed any Democrat. And I know I've said this ad nauseum. If they had a way to prove that Trump was involved in the Epstein stuff, but it also indicted Obama, they would have sacrificed Obama to
Yeah.
get Trump. They had no cow sacred enough to save Trump from, being indicted if they could have. None of that's true.
Yeah.
Nobody's will ever convince me otherwise. But anyway, these are the people we're arguing with, and I'm just fed up. They're the same people who, circling back to the young man Nolan Wells. I hate that this young man and his family are being drugged through this.
Yeah,
I
hold that thought, Clay. Let's
Yeah.
take a break. We'll be right back. Y'all stay with us because there's lots more to break down. I'm gonna try to get the comments up during the break. We'll be right back. 1039 WYAB, the Lindsey Beckham Show.
Call me.
Okay. Welcome back into the WYAB studios. We are live here, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And I'm joined by our morning show host here at WYAB, Clay Edwards, where we've been discussing this situation, the death that took place over the holiday weekend over in I keep wanting to say Horn Island, and the fallout from that, what we have seen take place, this court of public opinions, and how these white teenage boys have just been crucified on social media because they must have had something to do with the death of their black friend. I think that's absolutely outrageous to assume that automatically just from looking at a picture, but it goes so much further than that. Then the families are attacked and their parents' jobs are put out there for the world to see, and siblings are involved. And how do we ever change that? How do we change this divide and hate? I don't know that we can.
Yeah, so I'm looking on X here, not to dodge what you're saying there, but I just typed in Nolan's name on X
Mm-hmm.
and kind of going through it, and they're pushing a fake. There's just like this fake video going around. They're claiming, that they're claiming it's a fight of Nolan and his friends, but there's no fight. Even TMZ is running with this, that that law enforcement is investigating a viral video that allegedly shows a heated 4th of July confrontation on Horn Island near where Nolan's body was found. But that is not what's going on. And they just say that there's this fight. There's literally just these two groups of people. And I mean, look, like I know if you've ever been on Flag Island, and I'm just using it as my example here, or the Cove or anywhere else, there's a lot of boats and alcohol. It's going to be loud because it's loud. And yes, people get in fights. Even if they got in a fight, I'm just telling you that is not proof that anybody killed anybody. Uh, People get drunk, they fight, and they lay down in water, and they can die. I'm not trying to simplify this. And look, I'll be the first to tell you, if it comes out that there was foul play and these boys did something, I'll be the first one to tell you, effed around, found out, they need to go to jail.
Lock them
I'm
up.
not covering for these people because they're white. I'm not even covering. I'm just sitting here making the point that, can we wait and see what happens? And Lindsay, I said that yesterday, and somebody's like, you didn't wait to see what happened with baby Cohen. No. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I've done, is wait to see what happened. You all jumped to conclusions and said that the cop callously, cold-blooded, almost premeditatedly killed that baby. Y'all are the ones that are saying that. I'm saying I believe what the police said until proven otherwise, that the child, first off, it all happened in like about a 3 or 4 second window. There was never a stop or I'll shoot type situation. That is not what happened. Not to blur the lines here, he was not there on a shoplifting call. He was there working another call in the parking lot. They get in the car, they smash into another car, and within about 2 seconds after they do that, they punch it, and they're not 60 feet from him, coming straight for him.
And not just him, other people are standing there, from what I understand as well.
It was him and a group of people where he was working another call. Civilians, eyewitnesses that are right there that will say that, well, they should say, the body cam footage is going to say that they're coming straight for him, and it all happened boom, 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 that quick. There was never here's a baby, don't shoot. She may have put her baby up, but it wasn't to let the cop know there was a baby there, in my opinion. So anyway, my point is, I have waited to see what happened there and haven't jumped on the, oh my gosh, it's a dirty cop that he insisted on killing that baby. That's the same people that have rushed to judgment here and trying to say that these people. I'm just saying, in both the situations, can we wait and see what happens before we cast guilt on everybody, before we call these people murderers, before we say this was a race-motivated crime? And, furthermore, Lindsay, let's just say they did kill him. Are we convinced it's because he was black? Everything that somebody white does to somebody black isn't race-driven, by the way. You want equality, sometimes I can just think you're an asshole. And that's equal. That is
Regardless of what
equality.
color you are, regardless of
I can just not like you. And it has nothing to do with your race. I talk about this with Brad Franklin, Kamikaze, the rapper in Jackson, the rabble rouser, the outside agitator. His blackness annoys me because it's black for a living. It's all he wears it. It's like it's his identity. But I dislike him because he's rude. And he's an a-hole. I didn't mean to cuss on the radio. I apologize. I'm at my desk. I just kind of forget that we're not just on the internet. Your race is not why I dislike you. You're a racist towards white people is why I dislike you. It's not because you're black. It's because you're a racist towards white people. And you think anybody who votes differently than you must only do it because they hate black people. There's a whole host of reasons why I vote Republican. Hating black people is not one of them. Now, hating culture right is top 2, top 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in both of these scenarios, they have just automatically run with the fact that the white person did something wrong because they're racist. And then it comes back to, well, Mississippi is just a racist place. It's always been that way. And then it's making national news and a stain on our state.
Well, even if you wanted to say that Mississippi was a racist place, I can make the argument that the coast would be the least racist place in the state. Yeah. It is we talk about melting pots and all this. The coast is a huge melting pot. It's one of the least racist places. Oh, well, why did they cancel Black Spring Break? Well, because you know what? They see what events they get the most trouble out of. Like people want to selectively forget, but they also all but canceled scraping the coast. They banned all the squatted trucks. I was down there 2 years ago when the ban first took place, or right after, whatever it was. And because the girl I was dating at the time, both her sons had squatted trucks. They were both down there. So we decided to go for the weekend just in case they got in some trouble. We could be there to, get them out of jail or whatever over the squatted trucks. So we're just whatever. And Lindsey, that is a 99% white event. And the squatted truck thing is definitely a white boy thing. And they were arresting those boys and harassing them. When I'm telling you that they're harassing, the cops were, crossing the line and were harassing folks. And I thought it was unjust. It's bad because I always have the cop side on stuff like this. And they crossed the line, I thought, and overly harassed them boys, a bunch of them over anything and everything. But they had been pushed to their limit with it and they were fed up with it. Same thing with Black Spring Break. They fed up with it, and that's when I got canceled. It ain't because it's Black Spring Break. It's because this particular spring break brings a subset of people down here who pay no attention to the law, just like a lot of the squatted truck boys.
But also, Clay, when you look at these holidays, these big holidays where there are a lot of people, especially outside on the lake drinking, I feel like we always see a death in some way, shape, or form. And we never scream murder. It's because there's too much alcohol and sun's involved and it's hot. It's Mississippi. I feel like we've seen plenty of deaths in these party situations on holidays like this before. And it's never been, it had to be murder. This is only because it was white boys and this was a black boy that died.
Yeah, look, I told the story on the show this morning that I got alcohol poisoning one time. Leaving a bar. Well, I'd been out partying at a bar in Jackson. I got drunk before I went. I was 18 years old, I think. And I got left there to die. And it had been from my friend Sonny saying, I think he's a little too sick to just go, no, just take him home. And had he not made the choice to take me to the hospital, if I got in there 5 minutes later, I would have died. I'm not saying this is alcohol poisoning, but I'm just saying how easy it is for that to happen. Then you throw in the sun on top of it and the dehydration and just all the different factors at play. Man, it is a lot easier to get baked and dehydrated and alcohol poisoning out in that sun because you're overcompensating, trying to drink because you're hot and dehydrating and you're drinking alcohol and it's just exacerbating the situation. And again, let's just wait until we find out how he died. And they started all this before they even found the body. So how could I expect them to have patience for an autopsy? They're not going to believe it anyway, unless it says exactly what they want. Oh, look, he died of racism right here. See, this is racism. This is clear racism that killed him.
As soon as that picture came out, with 3 white boys and 1 black boy. That's all we've heard ever since. We gotta take our last break, but y'all stay with us. We're gonna be right back here, the Lindsey Beckham Show, to wrap things up on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in for the last few minutes of the Lindsey Beckham Show on this Tuesday afternoon. Clay, of course, the comments are saying we're trying to cover up a murder and calling us racist as usual. Of course, I expect nothing different than that these days.
Well, Lindsay, one person says, just a year ago in Mississippi, a black boy died on a boating trip with his white friends. Explain it. What, did he drown? Did he get shot? I mean, what was the cause of death? I mean, people die on boats. Gosh dang, man. When I had my boat, one of my black buddies almost died because we were doing stupid stuff and with the inner tube on a rope going behind the boat, spinning around, and he went skipping across the big water like a rock. You know, would 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 that have been? Could we tie that into this somehow? Oh, yeah. See, 20 years ago, there was a black guy almost died on a boat with his white friends. make it make sense, like it's some big conspiracy. Again, I mean,
You can't make this make
quit
sense.
trying to tie things together that don't go together.
Exactly, exactly.
We're covering up for it, you know. So
Yeah, we're covering up a murder here. That's exactly what we're trying to do. No, I just think people need to wait until we have the facts when it comes to situations like this instead of wanting to automatically blame somebody because they're not the color that you want them to be. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. See y'all then. Bye.
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 Y'all are all stupid.